First celebrity crush.
Oh gosh, what's her name? Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
We'll take
When
it.
she showed up in the Avengers,
Yeah.
like my wife even leaned over. It's like, what is happening to your boy brain? She's running around in a leather suit, beating people up, and she's gorgeous. I was like, okay, you got me, honey.
That might be the clip of the entire podcast right there.
What's happening in your boy brain right now?
You're listening to the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast with your hosts, Sir Colin Campbell and Gary A. McGowan.
Good day, good day, good day. It's your host, Sir Colin Campbell, here with Gary A. McGowan, and you're tuned into the Not So Black and White Real Estate Podcast. We're on site right now in Mississauga, the greater GTA, at For the Love of Real Estate Conference. If you're not here, I don't know where you are. This is the place to be. We have about 600 people in the room where we're collaborating and we're not competing. And at the podcast, we hunt, we looked everywhere, and we were able to bring you the man, the myth, the legend. This man has so many things going for him, but I'm going to stop talking so that he can say more.
Hi. You were going to say my name.
Yeah,
My name's Jay.
Jay. Excellent. Jay Papasan from Keller Williams out of Austin, of course. And it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's been fun to be up here. I mean, you talked about the 600 people. I didn't know the numbers. It's like everybody's really engaged.
Yes.
And that's good. It's like I know that everybody comes to these things for networking. It's also really cool when you go in the room and they're listening to a panel, they're listening to a speaker, and you can see them actively taking notes.
Yes.
So, like, good job to you and the host. Like, there's real value happening here.
Love it.
And this is a tough crowd. We know top agents. They're tough.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You got to find something for them. Well, they've just all been fed, so they should be happy from that perspective. And this is a cool kind of circle moment. What we didn't tell you, hey, we always forget we should hit record as soon as our guest sits down, because that's where all the golden nuggets, my friends, are. We'll see if we can pull some of those out. We were very fortunate to be at Family Reunion last year, where we sat down with your wife, Wendy. So it's kind of cool to have you here now to join us.
She probably made fun of me the whole time.
You know
she
what?
really likes to take me down a
Just
notch
about.
whenever she can.
Yeah. It was a 15-minute podcast. 14 minutes was how do I make fun of Jay?
Yeah. It's a sport in my
It's a
household.
sport. Yeah. I have kids. We both have kids, so we know that sport. Talk to us just quickly. Give us a little backstory of where you came from and the opportunities that have been put in front of you, but with really your career of what you've chosen to do.
Sure. So the short version is I met my wife, Wendy, in New York City. I got my graduate degree there in English. I went to work in publishing, and I spent about 6 years at HarperCollins Publishers. And I'd published some pretty big books. We got married and did not want to start a family in New York City. This is the late 90s, and so we went through everything in storage, quit our jobs, and went backpacking for 5 months and argued about where we were going to live. And we came to Austin, Texas in, I think it was January of 2000, and it was like 80 degrees in Austin, Texas. And like when you leave New York City and there's black slush, like we had all the wrong clothes. And I just remember we fell in love with the town like instantly. We moved there without jobs. About 7 months later, my wife fired me from my freelance job, and because I wasn't making enough money, and it's good. And I took a job at Keller Williams. So like I started at Keller Williams as a newsletter writer when I was the 27th employee.
Wow.
There were 6,700 agents back then, and I think we were in 14 states in Canada. And because we were in Canada, we could say Keller Williams Realty International.
Excellent.
We were going to put the biggest label on it we could. But that was like the hardcore entrepreneurial days when we were just grow for about the 10 years after. No, it was a 10-year period, but for the 6 years after I joined the company, we grew by an average of 40% year over year. And when you compound at that rate, you get big really fast.
Of course.
And so that was I spent a rocket ship today. I think if you account our international associates, we're over 200,000.
Wow.
So I've had to, as someone who's part of a, at the time, smaller company. Today, I mean, honestly, we probably have less than 400 employees. So we're still relatively, you'd call us medium. We're not big compared to a lot of our competitors. We run lean and mean, but I've had to wear a lot of hats. So the opportunity for me, which I love, is I'm in an education and training company with, Gary Keller, Dave Jinks, he's passed away, with some of the brightest minds in our industry. They don't want to just be masters of their game, they want to master the game. Right? They're just committed to it, day in and day out. That is attractive to me. That's one of the reasons I'm still here, is that every year, just in order to stay in the room, I had to grow significantly in order to earn the right to just bring someone coffee. And I say that facetiously, but the level of conversation has gone up every year in that building on purpose. And if you don't keep up with it, eventually you're going to be let go or you're going to move on.
Yeah, you said something incredibly interesting there to me. In order to stay in that room, you had to level up your game, and tremendously so in a sense, to paraphrase. Did you acknowledge that it was something you had to make happen, and how did you become aware of that?
I'll give you an example. When Dave Jinks, our co-author on The Millionaire Real Estate Agent and The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, retired, it's probably 2007, 2008. I had helped them prepare for the vision speech that we give at the beginning of every year. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what this is, it's like a 90-minute speech on the state of the economy and the industry. It seems like the last thing that real estate agents would want to listen to, but it's like the signature event. And it's on the big stage. And so I helped Gary prepare. David left, and I kept saying, do you need help? And I was thinking we would get another leader to go up there with him, and he said no. And then at 5:30 a.m., or was it 4:30 a.m., the day of the vision speech, a Sunday, I get a call from his assistant saying, Gary wants you on stage with him. Be backstage no later than 8 o'clock.
Awesome.
So the good news was I didn't have time to freak out. And this is just normal. You decide that they decide, or you decide that you can do something, and you just get tossed out of the nest. So I had to go from rarely, I think maybe once or twice a year speaking in front of a few dozen people, to walking onto a stage with, I think, 8,000 people in the room for 90 minutes for something I hadn't rehearsed. And I remember coming off the stage, and it was semi-traumatic for me, I'm an introvert. But I told Gary, I said, don't ever do that to me again. And he goes, I won't promise that. And that's just so like him. Yeah. And I was even madder then. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you want to be a writer, right? I was like, yes. You want to be an author of best-selling books? Yes. What do you think they have to do? Learn it.
Interesting.
And that's where, the coach who tells you what you need to hear and maybe not what you want to hear. Sure. So I remember going home, processing it all, and I made a commitment then that every single month I had to teach something publicly in the biggest venue I could find.
Awesome.
And that started about a 4-year journey for me, going from being horrible on stage, really bad. I remember my first kind of test to be in our faculty program, even at the entry level. Tony Tellerico, if you're listening, love you, was one of our original people that worked in that system. She goes, Jay, in the first 30 minutes, I counted you clearing your throat 44 times.
Whoa.
And I got tired of it. So we're going to start with your filler words and your filler, and they just tear you down and build you up. And 4.5 years later, I was master faculty.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I know the formula for me to go on a stage like today and feel confident and successful. That's not a natural activity for me. It's 4 hours of input for me, preparation for every hour on stage. When I put in the work, it feels good, and hopefully it felt good to y'all.
Yeah.
No, you certainly landed with our presentation that you had. And also, in your presentation today, you mentioned, and Tony Robbins phrased it this way, proximity is power.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn mentioned you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you're someone who you're constantly growing and expanding. How are you choosing those 5 people that are in your circle?
Well, you're helping me tie up what we started. Gary is one of those people committed to relentless growth. You'll ask him what his purpose is, and it's to be the best version of himself. There's no finish line. Yeah. He's just always asking, and now what? And now what? And he can be pleased with his progress, but he's never satisfied. And that creates kind of a culture around him. And I mean that pleased but not satisfied is important, because it's not like he screams, this is not good enough. He's like, man, that was good. How do we do it better?
Sure.
That was good. How do we do it even better? And because he's relentlessly asking that question, he's one of the 5 is your answer.
Yes.
And a lot of the people, like right now, one of them is Jason. I spend a lot of time with Jason Abrams. Jason works as hard and as smart as about anybody I've ever met. The guy is, I don't even know, he must take drugs or something. The guy is unbelievably able to sustain work on big projects at a furious pace. Like, he just goes 1,000 miles an hour. So and I have my team. I have Carly, who, she's my basically chief of staff, but she shows up in like a way that I have to show up bigger.
Right.
Like, if you surround yourself with the right people, they demand it of you. Like, this is our culture now. We're going to show up. We're going to be the best version of ourselves.
So leadership, it can be a privilege and yet a burden at times, where you're now worried or you're concerned of not just your own family, your own household, it's feeding everyone within your ecosystem, and you're worrying about them paying their bills and so on. How do you balance that where it's also pulling on the best sides of you and not you going into worry mood and spiraling?
It's funny, like the privilege and the burden, I would almost flip the order. I feel like, especially the last few years, it's been a burden and sometimes a privilege, because the more I think about the responsibility, the onus of leadership, we define it as teaching people how to think so that they do what they need to do when they need to do it, so they get what they want when they want it. A lot just there. But basically, my job is to teach the people who work with me how to think so that their careers go where they need them to go, and hopefully in alignment. And I feel the weight of that. It's a burden that I choose to carry, and I find it very fulfilling, but it's not easy. Because it's doing what Gary did to me. My job is to reflect back the truth of their performance to them, whether it always feels good or not. Because if I avoid the hard conversation, that's not a gift to them.
Right. Right.
I'm actually hurting them.
Yeah.
And so I always index on, I've got 2 quotes on the wall. One is by a guy named Keith Cunningham.
Oh, love Keith.
Love Keith. He's like, he and Gary could have been like twins separated at birth on some level. The way they think, the way they work. But nothing changes until what is unspoken is said.
Yes.
And that's there where I have to stare at it every day, because I know as a leader that if I'm judging people, I'm seeing their performance, but I'm not telling them that I'm judging them, that it's not good enough for me. I'm actually, it's just not fair. They're not telepathic.
Right.
They shouldn't be asked to read my body language. Like, I should just say, hey, I give that an 8 out of 10, but I believe you are a 10. So let's talk about how we move forward. Let's celebrate the 8, and let's talk about how we go there. But when people are repeating the same mistakes and stuff, and I don't tell them, for me, I'm an introvert. I don't like confrontation. That's the burden part for me. I know that I always have to step up, say what's been unspoken. And the other one is, Brianna, it's all about the courage. Like, it takes courage to be a leader. And so I just remind myself, I don't need to be a coward today. I need to say what needs to be said, because that's actually of service to them. And I've seen people grow. Yeah. And so you get to the earlier side, it gets a little easier to do those harder, I'm not even sure they're harder conversations, they're carefrontations. Because I care so much, we're going to talk about this in a really transparent, honest way. Not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to be honest.
Yeah. I love it. And one of the quotes that Colin will often use too, when perhaps we're going through a difficult situation, is your goal is bigger than this moment. And that, which kind of tells you, right? Yeah.
I'm going to TM it.
There you go.
I'd love to circle back just briefly on that kind of that core 5, or who's your community in a sense. And I want to know the importance of interchanging people as we, as we get older, and how important is that to have new people in that 5?
Well, Cody Sanchez said this when I interviewed her at Family Reunion. Cody Sanchez, the investor.
Yes.
She's like, you need to spend time with people for whom your wildest dreams are just another Tuesday.
Ooh, yes.
That's a good one.
And it really struck a chord for me because it's so true. When you hang out with people that all have six-pack abs, well, guess what? They're all doing the kind of things lifestyle that leads to that. If I showed you my belly, I don't hang out with those people, except for Gary Keller. I think he does have a six-pack.
Yeah, right.
But I hang out with a lot of people who like nice food, but also want to be healthy. So I think that if you're clear about where you want to go, you want to spend time with people that are either already there or clearly on that journey. There's more alignment, there's more support, you learn more, there's all of those gifts. So I just think I try to actively curate building time in for where I wanted to go in my life. My wife and I, in the beginning, when we said we wanted to be investors, we started hosting millionaire meals. Once a month, we'd get all of our friends together and talk about money. Because we like to cook, we like to do this, so we married a few social activities, but we made it about this goal. I was shocked. All these people that worked at the state government had rental properties. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was this distant thing. And I'm like, what do you mean y'all all already have rental properties? And so then it was millionaire mochas and millionaire, margaritas, whatever it was. Like, we kept trying to curate experiences that would put us in the room with like-minded people. The thing I get from people who hear this, they're like, well, what about my current friends? What about my family? There are people that we love unconditionally, and we are going to spend time with them. What I don't want is for them to always be in my headspace.
Right.
So I've got some buddies that I genuinely love. I mean, I've been going to the fishing on the coast. We call it Fishmas or Fishmaka, depending on when it falls, every December for almost 22 years.
Wow.
We have traditions that take a long time to build that we refuse to break. And it's hard to get a lot of grown men together that often, that long. But I'm also like, we don't talk about business. Like, we're all, like, half of them are retired now, but we talk about fun things and family things.
Sure.
So when I think about leveling up as a dad, as a husband, as a father, I can think that group is teaching me the right lessons. They're present with their family. They're present with their kids. But I also spend a little less time with them, because I'm now traveling to conferences like this and doing other things. So I just don't think it's not like you're excommunicating people from your life. It's more about you're probably giving them less of your headspace and time so that you can purposefully find time to start building relationships that lead to where you want to go with your life. Is that clear? I know
Absolutely.
I kind of monologued on you there.
No, that was great. That was great.
I love it. I got a couple more questions here as we wrap up, Jay. And we haven't even talked about you being a best-selling author or anything like that. But trust me, my friends, we'll put some links to some life-changing books, Jay, that you've authored and have your thumbprint all over. But these are questions that we like to ask our guests. Rapid-fire questions. Say the first thing that comes to mind. Will they be serious? Probably not so much at all, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right.
The first time I encountered this, I didn't know this before, so I'm off the hook, is I was on the School of Greatness. And I listened to 3 of his podcasts, but I never listened to the end of most podcasts. And so, I'm there live on the podcast, and he's like, what's your definition of greatness? And all I would have had to do was add 5 minutes to the other thing.
Yes.
Know that and then really be thoughtful. And I was like, dang. So now when I have the chance to prepare for a podcast like this one, I'll listen to it now. I got the vibe, I got the audience, and then I always now listen to the end because of this rapid fire content. So you've got me cold.
All right.
You're going to get the first thing that's PG that comes out of my mouth.
Beauty.
Excellent.
Let's go.
Excellent. Well, let's set the stage a little bit. Here we go, my friends. Rapid fire with Jay Papasan. Real easy to begin with. Would you rather be talking or texting?
Texting.
Texting, excellent. Favorite season?
Fall.
Fall, okay. Excellent. A little bit more serious now. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No.
No. Solid no. Excellent.
No.
Excellent. First celebrity.
I used to buy animal crackers in college in these giant Costco bins.
Oh, beauty.
They were very affordable, sweet snack that wasn't too sweet.
I think it's a food group, is it not, in college?
Totally.
Yeah, definitely. First celebrity crush.
Oh gosh, what's her name? Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
We'll take
When
it.
she showed up in the Avengers,
Yeah.
like my wife even leaned over. It's like, what is happening to your boy brain? She's running around in a leather suit, beating people up, and she's gorgeous. I was like, okay, you got me, honey.
That might be the clip of the entire podcast right there.
What's happening in your boy brain right now?
That's it. Favorite junk food?
Oh gosh, I'm a salty, so I'm gonna say probably nacho and chips.
Nacho and okay. Speaking of nacho,
Queso,
yeah.
where I'm from.
Good. With that, and our last question, is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
It's not acceptable if they see you do it.
Well said. And that's why he
I'm
is
with
a
you.
best-selling author right there.
If you're good, just turn the chip.
Turn the chip.
Give me a movie.
It's not double dipping if the part that touched your mouth touches the dip.
Okay, we're getting a bonus question here, and this is made or broken friendships or possible friendships. Here we go. The Godfather, would you rather The Godfather or Star Wars?
Think on
that
this
is
now.
hard. I wanted you to say Jaws in there too, because in those 70s era movies, that was
Yeah.
the one I've watched more than anything. I'm going to go with The Godfather.
The Godfather. There you go. In Colin's case, you may come back as I said.
I passed the
You
test.
passed the test.
Okay.
Excellent, my friend. It has been a pleasure to get to know you, even though in the last 15 or so minutes here. I've been a student of yours for many, many years. I think when The One Thing came out was my second or third year in real estate. And as I said earlier, you have co-authored books that are changing lives. And we are incredibly proud to be a part of Keller Williams with you, part of that leadership team, Jay. So thank you.
Thank you. It's
And-
been a real privilege to get to co-author those with Gary. I mean, what an honor to get inside his brain and to help him make his stories and thoughts come to life. That has been one of the privileges of my life, and it's changed my life and trajectory too. So thank you.
Excellent. I have so many more questions that I wanted to ask. But anyways,
I would just like to end it on one more question, because today we spoke about the one thing, and not just the one thing in your business, but your personal life, your health, your family life. So to wrap all of that, what is success?
Success is what you determine it is. So like this is like when we were writing the book, I remember telling Gary, it's like, I don't think we can write the one thing without getting really clear about what success looks like. Mm-hmm. And we started going through all the traditional definitions. Is it hitting a certain income? Is it getting raises? And I was like, no, at the end of the day, success is getting what you want. So it's actually as simple, like, did you get what you want? That's success. The problem is most people are not clear about what they want.
thanks.
And they certainly aren't clear about why they want it, why it's important to them, and when they need it. So a lot of the work we do in our coaching and training around the one thing, we have a whole company we've stood up, and we do goal setting retreats, all the things, is the groundwork that no one wants to do, that they need is getting really clear on their values, based who they want to become and why. And when you have those ingredients, like those someday goals about who you're becoming, everything else falls into place really rapidly.
Yeah.
So success is getting what you want. The challenge is, do you really know what you want?
Landed there.
That's excellent. Jay, you mentioned it from the stage. How can people follow you or get a hold of you?
I can't hide.
Yeah.
Jay Papasan. There's only one in the world that I can think of, so I'm 1 in 7 billion now. Is that right? So I'm on Instagram pretty actively. It's not word-based, so I don't get all locked up. I'm occasionally on LinkedIn, very occasionally on Facebook. You're not gonna. I own my territory everywhere else, but don't go there. But you can reach out to me, and also at theonething.com with the number 1. Like, I can't hide, but those are the places you're most likely to find me.
Excellent, my friends. It's been a pleasure, Jay. So that's, of course, Jay Papasan. That's Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan, and we'll see everybody in the next episode. Goodbye for now.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to click the subscribe button so new episodes will automatically be downloaded to your device. Please help us reach more people by leaving a rating and a review on your podcast player of choice. Now go make it an amazing day for somebody.